Hey up guys, Pentatonic boxes are cool. Everybody's been using them for years and they've created some amazing stuff out of them. But the thing with boxes is they can get you sounding very samey. You tend to visualize it as a scale, and scale means ladder, which means you basically run up and down it. And if you're like me, you do that for long enough, you bore yourself stupid. This has been done 1,000 different ways, but this is my explanation of it and how I visualize pentatonics. I'm going to do the major pentatonic and I'm going to do the minor pentatonic as well here. And this is this idea of using string pairs. And this is really the reason I want to do this lesson, because string pairs are awesome. And if you haven't seen my video on string pairs, then I'll put a link to it at the end of this video and then you can watch that and get a deeper understanding of why string pairs are so useful. Let's get started with this. So this is going to be our A minor pentatonic. We can play our standard box pattern like this. So here it goes. Here's the box pattern. And we all love and know that one and probably play that to death. And we use it as the main focus for where we are not only comfortable, but also where we base all our licks. I call this the Chuck Berry zone. So I call that the Chuck Berry zone on that box one there, and we're thinking about it in minor pentatonic. Now here's the thing that needs to happen with this. When we play the pentatonic box, this pinky can be a bit of a stretch to some people who, like me, have stumpy sausage fingers. So if I take that note, what I can do is I can do a math equation. That's on fret 8 and -5, and I can take it down to the 3rd fret and get exactly the same note. The timbre changes, but that's okay. So what I want to do is realise that note down there instead of there. So that means that when I play the scale, I end up with this. I end up with 4 notes here. But because we've got this position here, what we want to do is we want to utilise the fact that we're down here with the 1st finger, and it's really convenient to grab this note here. And this renders something that I call box and leg. So what we get is a box pattern here. Look at the diagram. So we get the box there, and then it slides up. That's the leg. Box, leg, which goes up a whole step there. And this pattern is all based on steps. So that's on 3-5, 3-5, step. Now if you listen to it, you'll know you got it sounding right, because it will sound like Starry Starry Night. Starry Starry Night. Yeah, you'll get that Starry Starry Night melody. Now here is where people get a little bit lost. What we've done is we've taken some notes from this box pattern and we've put them down here. Where's this note come from, Ricky? Well, that note is an octave lower of this flat 7 here. It's just playing it an octave lower. So if you take that note, it's the same note, it's a G there. That's where that note comes in there, so. And that's great. Now here's the cool thing. The E and the A strings, they are tuned to a perfect 4th, so that is a string pair. The way I see this, the E and the A string are a string pair, the D and the G string are a string pair, the B and the E string are a string pair. So that means by using caged octaves, I'll put a link to that video in the end of this one as well, we can use caged octaves to bridge over these string pairs. So let's look at this. Let's take that note there, let's put it there, and then what we can do is we can play exactly the same pattern. We get rectangle and leg. So, you can hear it, Starry Starry Night. Now we're on the D string, so what we have to do is play the D-shaped octave, which is this one here. You can see that it's not the same as this one. That one goes over a distance of 3 frets, whereas this one goes over a distance of 4 frets. We're jumping from the D string to the B string there, and that gives us our octave. So how do we deal with that? We've got to remember that that goes rectangle, and then we extend it with that leg. Now, what we're going to do is track that note there, and then we're going to start that pattern again here. Rectangle, leg. Now if we put that idea together, we get rectangle, leg over a string pair. We use that octave there to bridge into the next string pair. Okay, we've done that. That's the rectangle and the leg that sounds like Starry Starry Night. Then what we do is we jump over an octave again into the next string pair. And we get that in another voice. Now the cool thing about this is we've got 3 voices going on here. So we think about this as one voice. A deep sort of tenor bass voice. That's still a sort of tenor voice, but here we get a bit more of a female sounding alto voice. So putting that together we get... You can see that what I did was rectangle, leg. I moved that 3rd finger. You can use fingers 1 and 2 if that's the kind of player you are. But I would just want to use 2 fingers to do this. Now it's a different way of picking when we go down the scale, when we descend. We slide on that index, so we pick the first note, we can pick the second note, but then what we do is slide down into position. So the pattern varies when you descend, the picking pattern. The reason I call these rectangles is because each one has a corner. And I call this corners out using a leg. So moving out. And that gives us what we need for our A minor pentatonic. Play it like that and it works with your 7th chords as well. And the funny thing is, our box pattern is still there for us to go at if we want to with all our cliche licks. This will take us out though into other areas and we get to exploit this much of the neck, which is a nice thing to be able to do. So that's how I explain the minor pentatonic, and I realise that this has been done before lots of times by lots of different people on YouTube. And that's my way of looking at it. But the thing that I don't see so much is how to do it as a major pentatonic. And what we really need to do is just adapt the same principle of string pairs, bridging with octave patterns, and also having this idea of rectangles and legs. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start on a leg, and this is how it works for the major pentatonic. So it's almost like a mirror image of the minor pentatonic. This is for A major. We take the root note or the tonic there, and what we do, we slide up. This is the leg. So instead of the rectangle first, we do the leg first. So leg into the rectangle. Now that sounds just a little bit incomplete for me, because if I land on the root note an octave up, look, I'm using the E-shaped octave there to bridge it again. Up 2 over 2, up 2 frets over 2 strings. Take it here. You can hear my girl. And this puts us in the same position. All you need to do now is, instead of remembering it as one big massive thing, just break it down into string pairs, but also remember how that octave pattern shifted over here. So now we're here. You see, we have to scrunch up a little bit at the end to get onto that next string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pentatonic, 5-note scale. But it's not a box pattern anymore. What I was doing there was adding some extra colour to that as well, because we can do that. But let me just finish off this here. So we've got that pattern there. Now remember, the octave puts that starting note here at the 10th fret, and we play exactly the same pattern. Watch this, guys. So it goes 10, we've got the leg, same pattern again. Now you've got to be careful coming back down again. So you see I'm going down, and then up there, and I'm ending on the same note there. Now, because I played that 7th chord, I can use that major pentatonic on that 7th chord, but I can also use the minor pentatonic on that 7th chord. It sounds a little bit tougher. That's a little bit more rugged sounding, is that? Whereas this is a bit more cheerful. Because it's a major scale. Here's the next bit. This is going to make all the difference, so stick with it, guys. We go back to this minor pentatonic that we had before. We have this bit here. On this corner here, where the leg is, what we do is we fill the notes of the leg in. So there's the leg. We fill that in with the flat 5. So there's the pattern. Look what I did. I play 2 notes on the 3rd and the 5th. And when I get to this note, because I know I'm going to play more than 1 note, I slide that first finger up. Now look, I shift through the string pairs. Here onto the G and G string pair. You see that little chromatic fill in there? That's that flat 5, that blue note. Then we do it again. That's a lovely way to bridge into that there. Now there's lots of different ways of breaking that down. We can go add that flat 5 and then resolve down to that 4. Which we might do a little bit more round here. One of my personal favourites is not just to use that note there as just a passing note, actually start on it and use it as an auxiliary note just to go into other notes at either side of it. You can do a peekaboo with it. Peekaboo. See, I'm just doing it in all those positions. So then the thing is, you say, Ricky, does this work with the major pentatonic as well? Yes, it does. However, we tackle it differently. Instead of the chromaticism appearing inside the leg, it happens in the rectangle. There's our initial leg. Now, here's where it's super simple. We just fill it in there. Yeah, so you can see we get the root, second, and third of that scale, but what we've got is we've got a flat 3rd in there. And the reality of the situation is the minor blues and the major blues are inversions of each other. If I played an F sharp minor blues, you can see I get a B, a C, and a C sharp here. Look at this, A, B, C, C sharp. So they're really just inversions of each other, so it works, but how you think of it makes it different. And we can still do that same sort of peekaboo idea. And I like that smearing from that chromatic extra blue note that we're adding in there, that bluesy note. In this case, in the major pentatonic here, we're sliding from the flat 3rd to the 2nd and then to the root. Yeah. So we can add this in lots of different places. We are not just subject to those string pairs there as well. There is a subset, so we can look at it from this perspective. Look, this is an A, this is an A, this is an A. So we can start on the A, funnily enough, because this is an A. We can add it there. We can add it down here as well. So if we take it down here, there's my leg, there's my rectangle. Fill it in with that flat 3rd. That's nice if you want to start off in a major, move to a minor, and then resolve back on a major pentatonic again. So there's lots of different positions we can do this, guys. We're not just stuck to basing it around the box pattern that lives there. We're looking at this E string here to find the note that we're coming from for all of these. So let's say it was in G major pentatonic and we wanted it to be at that position there. So major chord. And of course, that means if I go from the root note, I can do the same thing again. I can do it on chord 4. And that's a really cool way of utilizing this. So any note that is a major chord, we can take that idea from D major. If we wanted it to be for D major but playing a minor of it, we can use this note here. So it doesn't have to be fixed to the E string here. And that's the place it's most commonly played. But just to tell you that it doesn't have to be fixed this way. The whole thing about this is that it fits onto string pairs. And if you don't know about string pairs, then you need to watch this video here and get that knowledge in your head so that you can really navigate your fretboard swiftly and cleanly.